Let's just get this party started here. My name is Steve Rodriguez. Thank you for watching. You are listening and watching today Sex with Stevie, the live podcast. I'm here every week from 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. So, good to see you all. Let me just turn my volume down here. There we go. I've got some great guests calling in, including my co-host, Kodi, is going to be calling in a little bit later in the show. Plus, I have a special guest who was, if you listen to this Tuesday's episode of Tagspodcast, aka Talk About Gay Sex, author David P Wichman is going to be calling in. We did a whole interview with our book selection, Every Grain of Sand. It's so good, this book. It's a memoir, and I highly recommend it. But he's going to call in to talk about some other things that we didn't really cover, some fun stuff that we didn't really get to on Tuesday's interview, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So tune in for that. The number to call in, this is a live show, and it's meant to be, like I said, a sister, brother to the Talk About Gay Sex Tagspodcast show. And it's fun. We've got our cocktails here, so we're ready to go on that, and it's a lot of fun in that way. So cheers to you on this Thursday night. I wanted to read something to start the show off because my good friends over at Male Massage Exchange, they're here in New York City. They've got a great program where they do yoga, they do naked yoga sessions, they do all kinds of tantra classes, and but right now, as you can imagine, everyone's getting creative. And they've done something really cool. They're doing everything virtually, so you can take so many of they've got kettlebell workouts, they've got naked workouts, they have a autofellatio class where you learn how to stretch. And apparently if you take that class, they don't guarantee it, but at some point you may be closer to giving yourself head. So I thought about taking that because, but I don't know that I could commit to the whole time, but I am doing my own stretches here. But one of the things that they sent out today that struck me on, they're really kind of spiritual and they follow different how the moon is. And today being May 7th, I just wanted to read something that they had in their email. They said on May 7th, which is today, a super full moon is in Scorpio and may have us doing some deep psychological contemplation. A full moon in Scorpio is often a very challenging lunation. Full moons are emotional energy, and Scorpio is an intense and emotional water sign. This makes the Scorpio full moon a time when emotions are running very high, and we can be quite sensitive, but may lash out as a result and can easily rush to anger. Anything that's been stirring deep inside, that's been shoved away and ignored for some time, can come spewing out now, boiling over and exploding. It's better to consciously bring some of that energy out in a healthy and positive way, like exercising or spending time by yourself. Well, spending time by yourself, we've got down there for most of us because I got that down. But if you noticed, like myself, that maybe your energy was just a little bit lower today, that could be one of the reasons. And for me personally, it was a little bit lower, but I'm excited to be here to do the show, and hopefully that will, offer a little bit of reasoning why, and maybe not to lash out and know that, the moon is it's a Scorpio moon, and that's could be why we feel this way. But I love those guys over at the Male Massage Exchange, MMX. I'll put the link up on Tagspodcast, or you can just look them up, Male Massage Exchange. That's you can sign up for them. They're a great. They've been on the show before, and I really love that. And so I like what they're doing. In that email, though, they had a really cool workout by one of their instructors that they work with, and it was a floor mat workout that I did today. here in my place, and it was challenging. In fact, I'm kind of sore from it because it was all that Pilates-based kind of workout, and it's really good. So I highly recommend them, and definitely recommend tuning into that. If you were listening to the music that I was playing prior to, and Facebook Live doesn't really allow me to stream music, unfortunately, but it was DJ Steve Cunningham, and he's got all these great mixes up on his I think it's Mixcloud. Let me just check that for you right now. Mixcloud.com/Stephen-Cunningham. I will put that up on the website, Tagspodcast.com. And like a lot of people, he's a DJ, of course, that DJs in LA, in New York City, and some other spots. He's gotten creative and come up with some great mixes. And the one that I was playing, he has these, The Year Was, and so I went to The Year Was 2003. And there was some great Love Profusion by Madonna was on there, and there's some other great tracks on there. But he's got everything from 2002. He has a 60s mix on there. He's got, Murder in the Front Row, which is like a thrash metal mix in there. So it's not all just like the dance stuff. He's got Rebel Rules, 70s glam rock mixes in there. I mean, really kind of cool things as you carry yourself out throughout your day. There's a soundtrack for every mood in this Scorpio moon that you would ever want. And so I highly recommend Steve Cunningham for that. And thank you for creating those mixes. Before my first guest calls in, there is a film that I talked about already before that's really a great documentary on Netflix called Circus of Books. Circus of Books was an adult bookstore out in LA that I had been to several times. There was one in West Hollywood and there was one in Silver Lake, and they both did really well. They carried all the porn, all the magazines you could ever want. Of course, at one point they had VHS and Beta, and then they moved into the modern times of the next era, which was DVDs, of course. And the story tells just obviously how porn changed the game a lot, but it was really owned by this couple, straight couple of all people, a Jewish couple, and they kind of took this over, and it was really about their story. And it's the daughter who is fascinated by all this and is a documentarian and really follows her mom and father around on the last days of having Circus of Books and the incredible tale that they have to tell. It's really an engaging slice of history, this bookstore of two people that you would never associate with a gay, adult bookstore, including some fun scenes when the main woman has to go shopping like at an expo for adult toys, and she is placing her order for adult toys and lubes, and it's just hilarious. Jeff Stryker, if any of you guys know Jeff Stryker, one of the quintessential amazing porn stars of all time with a huge is featured in it, and it's kind of cool to see him after all these years in this documentary talking about the heyday and really this couple that ran this bookstore called Circus of Books, and they would often have him come down and do signings for his latest films, and it's just a great movie, documentary. It's currently on Netflix. You can watch it, stream it there. Highly recommend that. This is a call-in show, and the number to call in if you want to weigh in on any of the topics I'm talking about is 908-312-1015. I put it in the comment section here. Again, it's 908-312-1015. I will take your calls. I've got Kodi calling in a little bit, as well as my guest that was on this week for Tagspodcast, David P Wichman, and really excited for him to call in. So call in, weigh in, ask for some sex advice. I'm here for you, and get your cocktail ready because it's going to be a fun hour. So I look forward to all that. Before my first caller calls in, actually, here, I think this is the call. Hey, caller, is this David?
Yes, it is. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, just turning your sound up. Thank you for calling in, David P Wichman. I got that right?
Yes. How are you?
I'm really good. Welcome to my live podcast, Sex with Stevie.
Thank you. I just walked through the door and I haven't been watching, so I was like, oh, I'm going to call in and I'm not going to even know what he's talking about.
No worries. I was just setting the stage. We were just I was just talking about some topics of just some documentaries that you can watch right now to keep yourself busy. Like you might know. Anyway, let me just introduce you really quick.
Sure.
David P Wichman is our book selection author. Currently, Every Grain of Sand is the book memoir that he has written. That if you listen to this week's Tagspodcast, Talk About Gay Sex, he is my full hour guest, and we really break into the memoir, and I loved our conversation, David. It was really awesome.
Yeah, that was intense. I was like, wow, this is I got a lot of airtime here. That's cool.
You were back on the couch reliving all this stuff again, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about, I was just talking about different things on how people can keep themselves busy, and one of them is a film. I'm curious to know if you've heard of it, Circus of Books. It's a documentary.
Oh, God, I love that.
Did you see it? Oh, good.
Oh, yes. I was just frozen by it because it just took me back to this. I never actually went into Circus of Books because I lived in San Francisco at the time, but that whole vibe from that whole bookstore all the way down, and then to find out about that family was just so interesting. I was like, wow.
It's so really cool. Did you ever make it to, because I lived in LA for a really long time, and I went there. Did you ever get to go to Circus of Books?
No.
Okay.
I only ever made it to LA during those days in handcuffs.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God, yeah.
Wow, okay. That's a story. My goodness.
Yeah,
is that a story you can tell us real quick?
It's actually in my book, and it talks about how I stole a car from, you'll relate to this. I stole a car when I was 18 years old from Bayfair Shopping Mall in San Leandro.
That is so funny.
I drove to LA because I wanted to become a hustler on the street. I wanted to go make money. And I got caught in Beverly Hills. Just the moment I entered LA, I was so obviously such a bad criminal. I was like, I wasn't getting away with anything. Got busted right away, got let out on my own recognizance, and I hightailed it back to San Francisco. And then I only returned there another time when the warrant came out for my arrest for that car theft. And anyways, it's a terrible lead-in story for plummeting my career into the ground. But
wow, but hey,
now I can laugh. We do stupid stuff when we're young,
Exactly, and makes for really good reading. Again, the book is Every Grain of Sand. We talked about so much, and I really will refer everybody to get the book, read the book, but also listen to our conversation because we break down so much of it. But I thought it would be maybe a little fun to some of the things that I didn't get to. At one point, we were talking the other day on you redirected your career in a good way to becoming an escort, and we talk about how you became an escort for really people that have disabilities in one way, shape, or form. And you can listen and read all about that. But I was just wondering, I know you still work with some of your clients, and during this COVID-19 period, what's that been like? I mean, I would imagine you're not able to see them, but do you keep in contact? Did you have to cancel a lot of trips? Because I know you travel a lot.
Yeah. I flew home from New York on March 13th. I was on my way to a big trip, and had to cancel that. And of course, I didn't expect to, but I had 3 major trips in the summertime planned, which are, the basis of my entire are the money for my entire income. I still do hourly stuff, but the big money that I make is the trips I take, and those are all canceled, or I won't say canceled, they're postponed.
Correct.
And it's really tough, not for me personally, like financially, or it's tough for me to receive the messages, and the people are reaching out, and my clients are reaching out, and they really are feeling the lack of connection. They're isolated. Many of my clients are well over 60, and one of my clients, actually, I came back from South Africa with 2 weeks after he came back, he died.
Oh my gosh.
And it was awful because he was pretty okay, but I kind of thought he was kind of getting weaker, and then he got a flu, with air quotes. You can't see me, but I'm making air quotes.
Okay.
And he died in 3 days from a massive respiratory, and this was before they were testing for COVID. And then of course he's buried now, and it's too late to know, but I suspect he somehow contracted the virus, and because it killed him so quickly. Like, he called me on the phone. He's like, I have this terrible flu. I cannot breathe. In 3 days. And I was like, wow, okay. And I said, give me your daughter's phone number. And then the daughter contacted me 2 days later and said he passed away. He had a massive heart attack due to a respiratory depletion. I don't know what the words are, but it just killed me. I mean, it's just really... so then I think, and I have other clients who are older, and I call them. I'm like, get in the house.
Yes.
Do not go anywhere. Do not leave. I don't care what you have to do. You call somebody to get you stuff. Don't even breathe.
Yeah, no, it's true.
It's just because it was just so heartbreaking. It wasn't, I've known my clients for many, many years, and so this was the first one I lost, and I was like, wow, that really affected. I mean, it's actually the second one I lost. The other one died of natural causes, and it was expected. But this was the first one that was like, wow, this is out of the blue. So it's really interesting.
And well, I'm so sorry for your loss on that, for sure. But you're right, because in addition to losing somebody through this, it's also a matter of, you feel like they died alone. So many people weren't able to be with them, and you can't even have a proper ceremony, and
right.
And
luckily, he was able to have a service. Yeah, luckily he was able to have a good service, and his whole family and hundreds of people showed up. One of my friends went to it. I couldn't, and it's interesting now because the conversations I'm having online, and the my friends and all my friends in the kink and leather community and stuff are all now starting to kind of come to the surface and start talking about, what are we going to do about mitigating risk. And here we are, 46 days in.
Right.
And I just try to think of I'm really fortunate. I have a partner, and, we have sex every day. It's like, I'm getting tired of having sex with my partner right now. It's like I want to go have some anonymous, kinky, freaky sex somewhere else with my partner, of course. But
yes, is he in the other room there? Yeah, right.
Yeah, we go out and play and go to sex clubs and have some good times together, and we're kind of like, wow, this is interesting. It's just us, which is cool. It's actually fun. But I imagine myself being single and gay, and I don't even turn on my apps because sometimes I have a little conversation here and there, but it's been, I can't imagine some of the guys. It'd be really hard for me to sit at home and masturbate or be online or whatever and feel really like the lack of the fun, connected hotness of going out and really fucking around or hooking up or even, dating. So.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, people have gotten really creative, and there's all kinds of virtual sex parties going on, and there was even people were mentioning on our show that you could go back to the old days of phone sex. Remember those days, David?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
97656.
Yeah.
I remember.
Only I did it with, I actually participated in and tried it with somebody. I didn't have to pay the 976 charges that back in the day that I racked up on my mom's phone line. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, exactly. What's this number? Highlighting it. But honestly, it was kind of cool because, you know, it's that awkward. Do you remember phone sex when you?
Oh yeah.
And there's that awkward bit at the beginning when you have to really kind of get into it. But then once you do, you let your mind kind of go there, and it really becomes about the voice, and it can be quite intimate in a way.
You have a great phone sex voice, so that would be super. You could do sideline work doing some hot phone sex.
I just found my new, all right, 976 Stevie.
Right. My OnlyFans for phone sex only.
There you go, yeah. Thanks,
Sex, yeah.
But you're right, David, it's the whole thing about, and really your work, working with your clients when you really shifted was about human connection and connection in general.
Yes.
And so much of human connection is about not virtual, it's about being in person with somebody and just the power of touch. And you write vividly in your book, Every Grain of Sand, how, you know, there was, I think, in the early days of the AIDS epidemic, or not early, but one of your early times being with somebody that you knew had AIDS, actually. All you could do was offer this person, like, to lie in bed with them and kind of hold them, and that alone was the power of connection that gave them another day to want to live.
Yes, that was a really interesting experience for me. It was the very first time I ever met anybody or saw anybody that was obviously dying of AIDS, and it was really, you know, and I was strung out at the time, so it was even worse because I didn't really know how to be present, yet it was so powerful. It was just so intense that I had to be present. I had to show up in that room. I had to be, I think I lost you.
I'm here.
There you are. No, okay. Yeah, I had to show up. I had to, like, really be present and not, you know, I don't know how to explain it.
You couldn't phone it in. You had to.
No, that was definitely, you couldn't just close your eyes and pretend it wasn't happening. And it was really all about this. This person was really angry and they were really upset. And, you know, it was early 90s. And, you know, we were like where we are now. We don't have a lot of information about this virus, you know, and tens of thousands of people are dying. And so, you know, the good thing is we have a lot of information about how it's spread, and it doesn't feel as scary for me today as it did back then. And it was really sad, and it was just one of those defining moments in my life where I decided I am not ever going to not touch somebody that is feeling alone or lonely or disconnected from the world and untouchable. I just am not going to do that. You know, it's just not okay.
I'm really glad that you're starting to have a lot of these conversations with friends, and I would imagine some of your clients too, because even though we can't really be together, are you connecting through phone calls with your clients and such, at least to kind of offer that kind of support?
So, and it's kind of a opportune time, you know, like there's an excuse to call me because the book is out. And so all of my clients are like, oh, I just got your book and I wanted to tell you, I read this story and I remember this, you know, and it gives us a chance to reconnect and recommune about about our experiences. And not just that, and clients who aren't in the book, you know, and who are, they're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea this about you, but I could so relate because I had this similar experience. So there's been lots of phone calls like that. Not a lot of like, I'm lonely and I miss you, but I get a lot of text messages and a lot of emails saying, when this thing is over, man, you better be ready to get on the road because you are sorely missed.
You were going to be on tour, the David P, for your book, for your, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things I didn't really we didn't go in depth with in the interview the other day, but we tapped into it, is that you were in a triad relationship for a little bit, and ultimately that ended, and your current partner is one of the guys that you were with in a triad. And not to fear audience, because don't you live with the other partner too, and his boyfriend?
Well, and the best way to say it for people that understand is that I was in a triad for 7 years with two guys who had already been together for 10 years, and we were all very intimate. We all had a great time. We were all very open and honest, and we hired this new houseboy, and my partner one of my partners fell head over heels in love with him and wanted to embark on a monogamous relationship. And then we later found out that they had met 2 years previously, and there was all this wonderful scandalous drama around it, but it was so amazing because there was always this little thing in the back of our minds that, we call him Corey. His name's Carl, but we always call him Corey. And we said, there's something, we always felt like the need to try to involve him more, or to make sure we were paying attention to him, because we could tell that he was a little bit on the outside of the triangle. And when Cesar came around, he changed so drastically and so beautifully. And he came to us all humble, and he's like, I really want to sit. And I just looked at him. I'm like, come in here and sit down. I want you to go for it. Please find your joy, find your happiness, find your love. Because the rule with our relationship from the very beginning, from day one, because they knew I was an escort, they knew I had multiple partners all over the world, and I had a boyfriend in New York. And the rule was, if you're happy, I'm happy that you're happy. And if it makes you happy, it makes me happy that you're happy. And there was no discussion. There was a little kind of game playing around jealousy and stuff, but it was really frolic. It was really sort of like expressions of more love. It wasn't really about, I feel left out. And so we have this great, very fortunate relationship that it's honest and open. And if something comes up, we talk about it right away. And we just stop everything. We're like, I'm feeling a little this right now, and I need some support. And I know that is not the norm for a lot of relationships, but I have really scored big. And so the four of us live together here in Palm Springs, and
that's amazing.
And I told Corey, I said, if things don't work out with you guys, you're going, he's staying. I have no living skills whatsoever. I need the housekeeper so badly.
Oh my God, I love it. Wow.
That's obviously that's a joke.
Yeah.
But that's just how important he is to us. I mean, he's just as much of a partner in our lives as Carl is, and as Todd and I, and we all have this equal footing. And it's not like he's the houseboy. He's Cesar, and he has agency and does his own thing, and he's an amazing, beautiful, incredible individual. So, it's just. Well, it's really great. Every morning I wake up and I'm just super grateful for it. So
it's really great to hear, because you hear about these triads, or thruples as some people call them, and you just wonder, for some people it seems like, oh my God, that would be a nightmare. For others it seems like, wow, maybe get your cake and eat it too, and if you're mad at one, you can kind of go in this direction, and so it seems like, for as long as a run you had, it was very successful, and that's awesome. So much so that you're living together with all of them, and that's great.
Yes, it works really well. And, I think I travel a lot. I'm all over the world all the time, and so a big part of that is I'm gone a lot of the time.
Right,
so
right.
That probably helps that they don't have to put up with my shenanigans all the time. But, who knows?
There's a great triad gay TV show. I forget the network that it's on, but it's called The Third, and it's set in Palm. Did you see it? It's set in Palm Springs. I'm not sure if you saw it, but
Carl came into the office the other day, and he's like, "Look at this," because one of the guys' name in the Triad is Carl.
Yes,
and
it
another
is.
guy's name in the Triad is David.
Oh my God, that's right.
And they're in Palm Springs,
Yes.
and I'm just like, this is so creepy because it's kind of weird. It's a kind of a diabolical drama, which I mean I haven't seen it, so
I have. It's actually really engaging.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's dark, but it's good.
Yeah, it looked like it was dark. I was like, wow, I don't know if I really want to
well,
take ownership of being a part of that.
Well, the good news now you can watch it because you're no longer in your Triad, so it might be kind of fun to watch. All four of you, with popcorn and all. I would love to be in the room when you guys watch it. I think it would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Before I let you go, you're in Palm Springs area, actually Cathedral City, correct?
Yes. Palm Springs adjacent.
Two questions on that. My sister wanted me to ask you because every year there's a film festival that happens around this time of year, a gay film festival. Do you know about it? And
yes.
Oh, good. Because obviously it's not happening this year, but our friend to the show, Kevin Thomas, runs a portion of I think the online series, and so we all plan on being there next year at this time. So we'll have to check in with you then.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what's life like, real quick, in Palm Springs, Cathedral City? I mean, not a lot happening, right? I mean, do you go out for hikes and walks or what?
Well, now I go out for hikes. I mean, we have I live near a hiking trail, which is very easy. And it's very easy for me to get out and about, but we don't really, we have a big house and a big backyard and stuff, and I pretty much stay at home. Because there's four of us, we have to reduce risk, and one of us in the house has a compromised immune system, and I don't want to put that person at risk, and it's just a whole complex thing. So we minimize risk, but when it's not shelter in place, this is a wonderful place to live. I moved here 9 years ago, and at the moment I never thought I would ever be able to live here, and I love it, and I've never even regretted it for a moment. So there's a lot to do. The sex clubs it's changed a lot. It kind of got grimy and sad for a bit.
Right.
Then All Worlds closed and bought the old In Exile, remodeled it, and then built an 8,000 square foot play space on property, and it is like
the Maze, correct?
It's called the Maze, and it is amazing.
Wow.
it is amazing, and it's a perfect spot for somebody who does sex parties or somebody who does events to hold an event there, which is super. It's perfect because you can rent rooms, and you can get a day pass and go play and leave and do what you want. Todd and I go there all the time. We used to go there all the time until this took place. But
when you were telling me about
love living here.
You were telling me about it the other day, and I looked it up, and I saw what you were talking about, the Maze, and it's indoor, outdoor, and they have a good map on their website. And I am there as soon as all this is over with. Real quick, the festival is called Cinema Diverse. Thank you, Vivian. And that's that our friend Kevin Thomas runs a portion of that, and so we will be there next year. Oh my gosh, David, your life is, I want to be you sometime. I love your, it's so amazing. The book is called Every Grain of Sand, a memoir. You can listen to our conversation that we had on, I think it's episode 160, and episode 160 on Tagspodcast. And where we really get into it and break down the book and some of your juicy stories. But get the book because it's really good. David, as always, I love talking to you, and let's keep in contact.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this time. Have a great night.
Okay, you too. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh my gosh, I love that guy. He's so great, and I love this book. I read it almost all in one night. It's one of those just riveting, juicy memoirs that's just like, I can see this as a movie. So good. Highly recommend it. Other interesting thing about it is that he actually grew up in the same town area in Northern California that I did, Fremont, California. And he talks about Union City, which is this adjacent part, Niles, which is right near my backyard. And then, of course, I lived in San Francisco, so did he. Lot there. Great story. Yeah. Oh, excuse me, that scared me. Let me get this. Hello, is this Kodi?
It is. Hello, darling.
Hello, darling. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Hanging in there. You and I were talking offline a little bit earlier. Kodi, my co-host, is calling in right now. But
Hi, guys.
We were talking earlier on how the moon is in Scorpio, and you were saying you kind of had your moment, maybe yesterday, or feeling kind of the lulls of what's going, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A couple of days before, maybe like 2 or 3 days ago, I was like really just unexplicably angry, and like I could not understand why I had such like fire in my belly for things that are not really that important, especially during this time where you really gain perspective on a lot of what's really important in your life.
Correct.
So I had to like check myself. I had to take a step back and like reassess where this anger was coming from, and really like communicate with the people that I had a problem with, or that I had this anger towards. So yeah, it was crazy. And after you said that, I was like, this makes so much sense now. So,
I know. I'm glad I got that email early on in my day today, because it really, I was like, okay, good. So I can set the tone, because, yeah, and particularly even this feeling that can ride on you during this time can just, because we're all self-isolating, you really have to be diligent about, not watching the news all day long, not, going for some fresh air and a walk, doing some form of exercise or stretching, put on some music, whatever it is. You've kind of got to like structure that a little bit, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, you need that release.
Yeah.
Because like you were saying, even like social media, it can be so full of not only negativity, but like things that can affect you in a negative way.
Right.
It might not necessarily be a negative thing, but it might affect your mental health negatively.
Yeah, and I think as we're coming more and more, as the days go by, I mean, God, it was early March, and you and I, Kodi, were both sick. We think it may have been COVID-19 earlier, even before they had the lockdown, at least here in New York City. And so we were even like cooped up even before all that.
One week before. Oh.
And I think one of the things that people are starting to now talk about a lot more is mental health, and how it can just, think about it, have conversations with it, and really plan your days out, so that, I was even talking to my mom earlier today, and she's got a dog in a backyard, and but for some people that don't have anybody, you've got to, I talk to different people, and I've got the show, and so there's different ways, but you've got to really kind of, look out for yourself, I think.
Yeah, mental health is paramount. It's one of the first things you should think of, because like if you have your mental health, then things tend to fall in line. Like there's just a bunch of other, I know there's like other factors involved in that, but that's like really, really important. So yeah, I want everybody to stay safe, stay healthy, stay mentally healthy, because you need it. It's part of your life. You can't do without it.
Well, Kodi, on that note, do you have a cocktail? Cheers to that.
I do. Cheers to that.
Yeah.
I do.
All right, good. All right, Kodi, we always have to check in with you, and we did last time about the guy that you've been dating. Are you even talking to him anymore? Are you still dating?
I still am.
Oh,
yeah.
Good.
Just had a little text conversation. We have a date planned for Sunday. We're going to do game night. House party is where it's at as far as game nights are concerned. So,
like a virtual game night? Is that what you're doing, or what?
Yep, a virtual game night on an app called House Party.
Oh.
where you can actually see each other on the app.
What?
And they have a couple of different games on there. I think they have Pictionary and Trivia, and it's like Cards Against Humanity, but it's not quite Cards Against Humanity. That one's really fun too. So yeah, it's a good time.
Fun. Say the name of it again so we can.
House Party.
House Party, the app. Okay.
Yeah, House Party, the app.
Awesome. Okay. We've got to a couple of hot topics.
I'm ready.
Okay. We'll get into Drag Race in a second.
Okay.
But
that's my gig right
I know
there.
that's your gig right there. I'm going to make you wait a second. But everybody, I'm sure, has heard this story, at least in our sphere, in our hemisphere. But did you hear of kind of a gays communed earlier this week? I think it was Monday night, for kind of a circuit party. They had a DJ. It was in someone's lofty apartment. There was several guys, people looking like they were at like a circuit party, and stupidly or not stupidly, I don't know, but some of them were recording it
And posted it online.
and posted it online. Well, they have since gotten so much flack. Gay Twitter has just gone ballistic. And there was even talk of, like, you know, they were partying, and everybody kind of knows what's going on there. And thoughts, Kodi? I just need to know right now.
It's horrible. At this time, we should be more cognizant of what we're doing and how it affects other people, not just ourselves in our lives. Like, I want to be out there in the street doing
Getting in trouble.
Really dirty thing.
Yeah. You and I always had our Thursday night thing for a while there, yeah.
Yes, of course, yes. I want to be doing Thursday night things. That's how I'm going to put it. I wanted to say dirty things, but they're not necessarily dirty. It's not always dirty things, though. I want to do our Thursday night thing.
Right.
So.
Kiki and all, yeah, have fun. And,
yes.
And exactly, go ahead.
I'm trying to be more aware of how it affects other people. So you need, like, right now is not the time to be out having a circuit party, basically, is what it boils down to. I don't think it's cool.
The thing is, I found it so cavalier and showed such blatant disrespect for the people that are really putting themselves on the front lines, and then not only to just ignore all that, but then to kind of post it so freely, like, look at us, we're having a party, seemed on the epitome of tone deaf, the epitome of kind of a fuck you to, F you to everybody else that's really it's a global pandemic, y'all. And on the other thought I had was not only that, for such huge disregard for everybody else and who they may come in contact with, but there are so many people that are doing so much creative things. Like, there's so many DJs out there. One of my good friends, Antonio, throws a weekly party. He is a big club promoter. He lives for this, putting on these big parties. He is not putting on real parties. He's doing these virtual on twitch.com, and doing these I think it's like every Friday night, these club virtual parties, and he's got all the DJs that he would have booked, say, for his club nights are now on this. Dan DeLeon, who we had on just a few weeks ago on this show, talked about his virtual club parties that he's doing too, with lights, and they're getting people. I had the guy from the Adonis Lounge talking about how their whole business model is based on strip clubs and having lap dances that you go to, these weekly parties in many cities, and they have come up with a solution during this time, a pandemic, of doing it virtually, and people are really honoring it and getting creative. So that's what really angered me too, is that then you got these fools that are having their party, and it's one thing that they did it and had a DJ and all, but then to so to post it like that is really what I think was just disgusting.
Like you said, it was a big FU to everybody else that's doing the selfless thing, the conscious thing. So I completely agree with you, man.
Yeah.
It's not. You have to be creative. You have to.
We all want to be out.
Yeah, we all want to be partying, but party in a safe and conscientious manner. That's what I would say.
Right. I mean, I don't know what it takes, for people to get serious about this and how it can really affect you and how you could be a carrier. I mean, we're in a pandemic. Like, we haven't had this, so it's just crazy to me. Hopefully we won't. There's been some crazy stuff in the last week that I've seen, whether it's on TV, not just in our community, everywhere. And everybody needs to settle down now and sit yourself down for a second. Take a deep breath. That's all I have to say on that.
Do some meditation, do some quick yoga.
Yep.
Calm your nerves.
Okay, so Kodi, we've got to talk about last week's drag race. And actually,
are you ready?
Yes, I am ready, because there was drag race and then there was celebrity drag race, which I'm really getting into. Let's talk about that one. Right? Let's talk about that one first, because they're doing
I'm actually more excited about Celebrity Drag Race this time, because hello, Vanessa Williams.
Vanessa Williams! You don't know. I don't know if you know, Kodi, but my sister and I are huge Vanessa Williams fans. We've seen her she's like one of my favorite people. I got to interview her actually for one of her last albums for one of the site that my sister and I have, Progressive Pulse. And she was so cool to interview, like one-on-one like that. But how cool was she in Celebrity Drag Race? We can say it now. She won. I mean, it's old.
You haven't seen it by now.
Yeah, but it's worth But it's worth watching. It is so fun.
And she's so down to earth. I was like shocked, but not shocked. I was like, she seems so wonderful and loving and just accepting of the culture, and it was just so great to see. I love Vanessa Williams. It made me love her 10 times even more.
Yeah, the whole episode I thought was really good, and for people that don't watch it, I think every Friday there's going to be 2 more. You can probably look for this one, but they're all doing. The first episode had 3 guys, then last week's was 3 women, and Vanessa was one of them. Lonnie Love was another one who I really love, and they're all competing.
Tammy Roman.
And who's the other one?
Tammy Roman.
Okay, got it. Her. And they're all competing for their charity. Lip sync for your charity. And it's 30,000's at stake that goes to their charity. But the good news is, even if they don't win, the other 2 get, what is it, $10,000? $10,000.
That's nothing to shake a stick at.
No, it's nothing to shake a stick at, Kodi. And a cash prize of $10,000, honey. I love it when I love that whole opening sequence on the regular show. So love that. The regular show was great too, because I felt like those 2 episodes. Last Friday, I was in heaven because the 2 back to back, and it's like 90 minutes or so each. Mm-hmm. So it was like this marathon night, Friday night, and I was like, oh, I'm fine just parking right here and going to town, because the regular episode of last week of Drag Race was the remaining contestants having these female super fans come on, and they didn't know they were going to be on the show, and the remaining contestants make them over into their drag superstarness. And I thought it was so fun too, because it was really touching. Loved it.
It was really good, and you could see the bond between the contestants and the super fans, and it was just so heartwarming.
Really,
yeah. And then what about that lip sync? I'm in love with that "Kill the Lights" now. That song that they lip sync to.
Oh, kill the light. Yeah, I'm not gonna say. You need to sing that song. Why am I singing, Kodi? Who's that singer? Because I love that singer, and they were on my Atlantic. Newell.
Huh? Alex Newell. Yep.
Alex Newell, Kill the Lights. That is just like an anthemic. You could dance in house by yourself. It's so much fun. I love that song.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's been on repeat on my iPod now, my phone. Who has an iPod anymore?
Exactly. I'm like, wow, okay. Exactly. Such a great song. Oh, good. And then you were doing a party for kind of a drag race party, weren't you? Are you still doing it?
We did a drag race trivia.
Okay.
That was, 2 weeks ago. It was amazing. We had so much fun. I got into a little bit of drag. I was going to get a picture. Nobody else can see.
I love it.
So I'll just send them to you. No, please don't share them.
Okay, no worries.
But we're doing another trivia on this Saturday, which is, I don't even know what day it is anymore. It's
right
2 days from now. It's Schitt's Creek trivia. Have you ever seen that show?
Oh my God, everyone's talking to me about that Schitt's Creek, and I hear it's amazing. But do you love it?
I love it. It's so funny.
Okay. I might have to start binge watching that. And the other one I'm going to start binge watching now is Hollywood, because everyone's talking about that too.
That just came out. I want to see that so bad.
Yeah, that's on my list. And for fans of a little show on the Stars Network called Viva, VIDA. It's their final season. You could totally watch this. It's got a total gay, lesbian even storyline to it. It's so good. Mexican American.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I have to check that out.
Latinx type of show. It's so good. And so that's my little tidbit on that. Real quick, with your guy, we were talking a little bit earlier. I was talking to David about phone sex and how maybe phone sex is kind of coming back. And I participated in a phone sex conversation. It's such a 80s 90s thing from back in the day.
Oh yeah, the chat line. I remember.
Yep, the chat line, exactly. But would you do virtual sex or phone sex with your guy, or
I'm trying to do some strip trivia on the house party. I don't know if he's down for that.
Nice. But, have you told him that, or you're just going to slip that in, kind of?
I'm trying to get in where I fit in. I'm trying to
get in where you fit in.
Hey, you know, because I'm a little bit backed up over here. But,
yeah.
So I'm gonna broach a subject after a couple beers and a drink, so we can and see where it leads.
Well, interestingly enough, my Lincoln, my other co-host for Tagspodcast, him and his boyfriend Peter have been doing. They've been playing Uno, the card game.
Oh,
Strip Uno, and I think they do it every weekend, I believe. And I was saying, hey, can I call in virtually and join in? And I got sort of like a lukewarm, yeah, sure. I was like, okay, I'll find my own strip Uno, mother.
Well, if you get the invite, you let me know. I'll be there.
Okay, all right, I will. Well, all right, Kodi. Any shout-outs you want to shout out before I let you go and we wrap this up?
Just hi, everyone. I miss you so much. I can't wait to host the show with you in person. That's all.
Me as well. And you're not performing for the restaurant Poco this week, are you? Or are you?
Not this week.
Okay, not this week.
No, I'm not.
Okay, all right. Well, I will talk to you offline. Thank you so much, Kodi.
All right, it's been a wonderful.
Yes, I miss you. Okay.
I miss you too.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye. All right, well, I've got a few minutes before I wrap this up. If you want to call in, the number is 908-312-1015. I will take your call in these last few minutes here. Let me just check and see. You're welcome, David. I'm so glad you called in. I really highly recommend listening to this week's episode of Tags Podcast, episode 160, with my conversation with David P Wichman for his book. It was just so great, and I think you're really going to like the book. It's awesome. Anybody else here? Let me just see in my notes here if there's anything that I forgot to tell you. Oh, here's something that I forgot to tell you about. So Adam's Toy Box they have adult toys, and we've been working with them. They had to have a little bit of a break due to COVID-19 on just sending out their product. But I just got word from the owner that they are back up and running, and we have a 20% discount on anything on their site. So if you go to adamstoybox.com, they've got all lube, all kinds of toys, everything on there. They've got a cool blog on there that is currently updated. I'm going to try and put some of those links on tagspodcast.com. And if anything on there, you'll get 20% off of your entire order. So the promo code is TAGS, TAGS. Put that promo in and automatic 20% off. And like I said, they're back up and running. And he is sending me some new product. We're going to be doing a new giveaway in about a week or so. Once I get it, I'm going to do some more demos. I'm going to be doing some reviews and demos on our Patreon page. That's our subscriber page where you get extra special sexy perks. And at the various different tiers, last week or a couple weeks ago, I did one for the man squeeze, and even a demo of it too. So wink, wink. This week I'm going to be doing, or actually coming up this week, I'm going to be talking about all kinds of different cock rings and the various ways that they come in. And I have got a collection of them. And I was looking, I could open up a store boutique. And so I thought I would kind of go through the various styles and what each one kind of does, and kind of give you some insight into that and show you all about that. It's patreon.com/talkaboutgaysex. It's our subscriber site that really supports the show, both shows, and keeps us going. And again, adamstoybox.com. The toys are, you can get 20% off everything there. Use our promo code TAGS. And I think that's is it. All of the stuff that I talk about on the show, including from the music that I was playing at the very beginning, from DJ Cunningham, to everything else I've been talking about, I will put all those links. You can always go to our website, tagspodcast.com, and get show notes. So don't feel like you always have to kind of keep up with everything or feverishly run to look for a piece of paper. Go to tagspodcast.com, and all the links are there to everything that we've mentioned or been talking about, including things like the film I was talking about, Circus of Books, the documentary. I'll put a link on there. And so little tidbitty things. I try and re-listen to the show a little bit and then give you sort of a template there that you can kind of link up to on that. And I think that is wrapping up for me. Well, as always, I want to thank you for joining me today on Sex with Stevie, my live podcast. I'm here every Thursday on here. It's a lot of fun. This show gets wrapped up and goes into our podcast feed the next day. So if you miss it, you can listen to it the next day. You can also watch it on our YouTube channel. A great way to watch it and catch up on all of that. And I am back next week with my co-hosts, Jeremy Ross Lopez and Lincoln, for a brand new episode of Tags Podcast. And we want to hear from you. If there's things you want to ask us on that show personally, we'll try and get to all those. If you want to weigh in on some hot gay sex topics that you've heard us talk about, that you want to give your 2 cents, we'll talk about that. So you can just reach out to me, go to tagspodcast.com and send a note, and we'll try and get to you. As always, be well, stay healthy, stay home, keep yourself active mentally, and I wish you well, and I will see you soon. Thanks.